Holy cow, the gloves are off. Zelensky, he found out for sure. WorldNetDaily Live starts right now. Hello, folks. Welcome to WorldNetDaily Live. I am Matt Edwards, and boy, holy moly, what a day. Zelensky from Ukraine was over meeting at the White House. We're going to get into all that. Plus, a bunch of influencers walked out of the White House yesterday with what they thought were the Epstein files, but not so fast. That's not what happened. We're going to get into that too. Josh Turnbow, my friend, happy Friday.
What's up, everybody? Thank you. Happy Friday, Matt. Another unstoppable news cycle. Like when we put the show together, we're like, wait a minute, there's literally breaking news now. And thanks to our new president, Donald Trump. But if you're watching with us, I wanted to tell you and ask you politely, please follow us on Rumble, hit the green button, like and subscribe. Hey, put a comment in there. We really love it when you guys comment on the show. And this is how the show gets out to folks. We're on X, we're on all these different platforms, but we really don't, know if you're watching unless you're like commenting, subscribing. We'd love you to do that. And if you're watching us, I see people loading into the show now. Thank you so much. And let's get started. There's a lot to talk about.
That's right. Load in and get strapped in. Josh, I don't think I've ever seen two world leaders have a conversation like this.
Yeah.
Literally, this was intense. And the vice president was there too. Here's the article over at WorldNetDaily.com. Trump and Vance rip Zelensky over the war. Now, you'd think that they'd be doing this. The left would think that you'd want to be doing this to Putin also. But there's something to be said about Zelensky and his $350 billion price tag just to be our friend, right? That's what it seems like. It's incredible.
We're going to go through this because it's a soundbite treasure trove of amazing. I
always have my soundboard loaded up here with Trump.
Yeah. Have it ready with everything, Matt, because
I need a new panel for all the Trump stuff here.
So guys, we're going to go through this step by step, and then we're going to cover some of the Epstein stuff that broke yesterday. A little bit chaotic, but we'll explain why that is and how. But man, Matt, I'm going to say this real fast before we dive into the clips. Guys, like we talk about, how culture is changing and stuff, but like there's this concept of like, what is your persona you present, right? Like, and most people, we psychologically know that most people have like they offer a limited version of themselves to people when they meet them. And then over time, if you become friends with someone, hopefully, unless they're a sociopath, you understand like who they actually are. You understand past the persona projection who they are. Okay, there's none of that in the White House now. None of it. No. There's just like whatever comes to mind, be as truthful as possible. This is the best version of politics because we don't need backroom dealings hardly at all. You're going to see it right up front. And enough from me. Let's see the.
It's like watching an unedited reality show. It's amazing. But things started off a little nice, a little like kind of like backhanded nice. Let's watch this clip.
I do like your clothing, though.
Yeah, really?
I think he's a great guy, by the way. I don't know if you two like each other, but you know what? I think he's dressed. I think he's dressed.
I like this guy.
I think he's dressed beautiful.
How's he not clowning? He's clowning on his pajamas, dude. His war pajamas. That's it's like a, and he didn't do the like. He had to like. Oh, I really like him. Just the beginning, though. Just the appetizer. Barely even getting started.
But then when Vice President Vance decided to take the bait, this just makes me warm for our future. It's like a glimpse into our future of what Trump is going to leave us with. But folks, just sit back, listen.
Here we go.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are
Mr.
not
President,
strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens.
JD pivoted pretty good.
You bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve the problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
But right now, you don't.
I'm
Yeah,
very
you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling
I'm the
with the
president
lives of
anymore.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
what do you
You're
think about?
gambling
Holy
with
crap.
World War III. And
You-
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's
with
back
all
to
respect to
you.
your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
wearing
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of times.
No, in this
Even
entire
today.
meeting, you said
Even
you went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States
what
of
are you speaking
America
about?
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Gosh, and that's not even the end of it, Matt.
I mean, that is incredible. Have you even said thank you? I mean, he spoke in front. Let's remind people. He spoke in the well of the Congress.
Yeah.
While our elected leaders waved Ukrainian flags. He has had the red carpet rolled out for him by President Biden and that administration for the last 4 years. And then in his own country, he suspends elections. He was,
Yeah.
I mean, and of course the $350 billion that we've sent to him. All JD is like, have you thanked us once?
Dude, that one moment really pissed off Trump. He was like, all right, because he's like, you're gonna feel it. Trump's like, no, we are not.
Yeah,
he started to give the oceans thing. I mean, I think we talked about that like last show, right? Like America is safe with its moats of oceans, but like that, it did seem like Trump took it as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you kidding me? Man, it was like teachers slapping down the student. And I think we have more clips of this, right? Like, it just keeps going.
Yeah, watch this next one. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if
West?
you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
Dude.
Wow. I mean, I've seen
He
these types
scolds
of
him.
conversations before.
Yeah.
Zelensky knows. He knows he's in the position of a subordinate in this.
Oh,
sense.
yeah.
It's so clear.
But not to the degree that Trump didn't have to Trump put him in his place.
Yes.
It doesn't matter that you're in the, I think Zelensky just forgets who Trump is, man. Like Trump gave him the full debate argument treatment, like just pure shutdown. right?
Yeah.
I think Zelensky thinks there's someone in America that's going to listen to him. All the journalists are probably crying behind the scenes, but it's
I can't imagine. I cannot. I mean, I actually want to tune in to CNN and MSNBC tonight to watch them melt down over this, because
I'm with you. Yeah.
All they're going to say is that Trump's escalated World War III. He's alienated our friend. He's doing the work of Putin. I mean, he's just like, he's saying all the things that Putin would want to say to him. Right. I mean, it's just like, but,
yeah.
Go ahead.
They'll go hard. They'll go hard, Putin. But it doesn't matter anymore. And I would suggest that, like, all those people, they don't watch this show, but if they see this clip, if you are furious about a Trump, I'm just going to say it, like, giving them the ultimatum, get in your Subaru, get onto a ship, go to Europe, and they will take you right now as a fighter.
Yeah, they will. And so here's Trump telling Zelensky that he's got to make a deal or it's it.
Yeah.
Watch.
Maybe he did. I don't know what happened, but he didn't break him with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out.
No way.
I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that. All right. We'll see what we can do about putting it together.
The journalists just melting down.
They're melting down.
We'll see. I don't know.
And Josh, I'm convinced here that this was a, whether it was yesterday, whether it was last week when they invited him, whenever it was, they were like, "Hey, JD, come here. This is how it's going to go down." We are going to lay into this guy. It's got to end. It's got. Dude, we paid for it. We paid for the privilege.
The gravy train has stopped. President Trump is 100% right. Yeah, great comment. America is back. Matt, okay. Remember the left stupid ass playbook? Like, remember they thought you could just defeat Trump by spiking his ego that's gone, dude. He's he's done like these big conferences with world leaders. JD's sitting to his left. Trump just lets him talk, and like, JD, you got something to say? Oh, okay, tell. Like, dude, it's totally different.
Yeah,
it's totally awesome. Different. Elon, you want to talk? Go ahead.
Yeah. So normally,
no, I mean, I've just never seen anything like this. Vice presidents are usually treated like worthless, unless they're going to become your step in for the president. But this is like really, really, really great.
It is. And now, folks, so normally what happens when you see these types of things, you'll see the leader, they go into the Oval Office, they have their little fireside chat with the press, they answer the questions, they have some crosstalk, then the press leaves and then they have their meeting in the Oval Office.
Yes.
And then there is a formal press conference. So normally you see people show up at the podiums, everybody's got their flags back there, and they do this press conference. Well, according to Nick Sorter, done. Press conference canceled after Trump accused Ukrainian dictator of disrespecting the United States. Zelensky's motorcade pulled up, and Nick Sorter says, "Get the hell out of our country." That's it. He's gone. That's it. It ended rather abruptly.
Yeah, I mean, this look, obviously this is a hard negotiation tactic. Shut it down. Shutting down negotiations is just a really strong way of saying, like, I don't like the way this is going. Trump is the best at this, but like, let's be honest. Okay. Like, if you were all upset, I hope you're not, if you're watching us, you probably aren't, let's say what the argument's going. Trump is not acting presidential. He's acting rude. Guys, do you know how many people have likely died in this fight? Let's just talk about the human life loss. It's 1 million people. It's at least 500,000 on both sides. Okay? If that doesn't bother you, then you're kind of a sicko. Second, the amount of treasure put towards this from our country alone, as Trump said, that stupid president. what a line.
Well, you voted for him.
Yes, that stupid president. So like this thing needs to like end now. And I guarantee you, we're gonna, who's probably going crazy is say like the Ukrainian people who, let's say you have a son and he's gonna be 19 or 18 and they're gonna lower, you don't want your kid to die in this fight that's no longer got a purpose. So yeah, I think Trump was serious about shutting it down. I'm excited that this will cease.
Yes. Well, here's his statement after all that was done over on Truth Social. We had a very meaningful meeting in the White House today. Much was learned that could never be understood without conversation under such fire and pressure. It's amazing what comes out through emotion. And I have determined that President Zelensky is not ready for peace if America is involved, because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations. I don't want advantage. I want peace. He disrespected the United States of America in its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace.
Wow.
I mean, it makes it sound like we are at war with Ukraine. But it all comes down to like how much, like you said, how much treasure, how much money we have given and weapons and just support we have given to this country. And there doesn't seem to be any desire for peace because they're literally being subsidized,
Yeah.
And Zelensky's happy to just keep, like you said, keeping those young men going to the front lines. It's awful.
There's also like an incalculable risk that we moved toward that we have not been near since the Cold War, and arguably like the most tense times of the Cold War, like the Cuban Missile Crisis, because the nuclear threat started to become very real again in a way that nobody was ready for. And Ukraine is not worth in any way the globe erupting in a nuclear conflict. And we've never been closer to that. I think the minute Trump got into office, that pressure relieved a little bit. But I don't think Zelensky, I don't think he really realizes like we don't appreciate this. Now, our last senile president got us into this mess, and so did the global order, whatever that means, as it comes crumbling down. But dude, being this close to nukes again, that alone is deserving of like serious action of reprisal. We should never be this close. And I think that's what the lefties don't understand, Matt. You got to talk to Russia respectfully because they have the ability to wipe out the planet, and we don't want that.
Yeah, it's a totally different conversation with Russia. A totally different conversation.
Yeah,
with
they're
Russia.
not Ukraine.
Yeah. No, sometimes it's like treating. It's the same way he treated Kim Jong-un in North Korea. I've got my buttons bigger than yours. But then look what happened. He met. They became somewhat public friends, and he walked over the lines of demarcation. It's incredible what happened there. So, all right, folks. Well, those are some great clips. I encourage everybody to just go watch the whole thing because it's incredible, and I'm sure there's not going to be any short. And once again, it's a Friday afternoon.
Yeah,
and we got all weekend to just watch all that stuff. It was absolutely crazy.
Matt, just Calcom saying here in the clip. Thank you, Calcom, for the comment. Media platforms were crashing an hour ago, so we'll be sure to grab those clips for the next show.
Yeah,
and bring you the meltdown.
Yeah, it's incredible. Meanwhile, the work of Doge continues. Elon Musk, we've got a clip here from Elon Musk, who's the head of the Doge unit. Let's watch this.
I just want to emphasize the sheer madness of the government. It's just because they have magic money computers that the checks never bounce for the federal government. So you don't have the normal corrective mechanism that you'd have for a company or for an individual. The checks just always clear. The net result is inflation, which is effectively a tax on everyone. you know, like the Defense Department hasn't passed an audit in I don't know how many years.
7 years.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Joe
So
Rogan
it's like
is.
you'd have to be friggin' Chuck Norris like only Chuck Norris could get the Defense Department to pass an audit, you know, type of thing. That's the level of skill you need, you know.
Well, that's what's so insane. If you bring it back to the idea that it's a business,
Well, yeah,
this would never be tolerated in any kind of functional business.
exactly. So, you know, the Pentagon will like their accounting error, like the stuff that they lose in the couch cushions is like $20-30 billion a year. They don't know where it went.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's
That's
absolutely incredible.
That's Elon. We have some other clips from that, but that's Elon went on Joe Rogan's podcast today. So, and it is a long one, Matt. We'll kind of filter those clips out, but they covered everything and aliens, U.S. aid, inflation, Epstein. Speaking of
that's
Epstein,
Yeah, speaking of Epstein, are we going? He did talk about that, right?
yeah,
Yes, like known Epstein clients who are obviously extremely powerful, powerful politically and very wealthy, are Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and Reid Hoffman,
oh, dude.
and some others too, but those three. So, why was Reid Hoffman so intent on destroying Trump?
Do you think it's because they're worried about the list coming out?
Yeah, one of the reasons.
What's the other
Yeah.
reason?
So
I mean, I'm like, this is, so
it's so frustrating to be sitting in this situation where the list isn't coming out. 'Cause-
well, it better come out. Hopefully tomorrow.
well, I mean, why'd they release bullshit today?
I don't know.
What's the point in giving these people like a happy folder to wave around in front of the camera with nothing in it that's new? Doesn't make any sense. It's not encouraging.
Like I said, it's the tough thing that they've got is, they've been made captain of a ship with a hostile crew.
That's called a
Yeah.
mutiny.
Yeah, we'll get into what he's talking about there with the folks with walking out with binders that actually is less than what the public already has. So
Yeah.
we'll get into that in a second. But just to comment on that real quick, Reid Hoffman. Let's. Everybody knows Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, but can we refresh everybody on who Reid Hoffman is?
Yeah, so isn't he a Silicon Valley investor? And I think he owned LinkedIn. He's a billionaire.
Yeah.
But he's a little skeezy. He's always been skeezy, and we confirmed it when he showed up on the Epstein client list. But he hates Trump, and he spent I think he spent like as much as you can spend against Trump's run, and wonderfully,
boy.
yeah,
That guy's not a poster child for a problemed individual.
right, yeah,
That might get
and
caught
he's
up in this mess.
he's mean, dude. I've seen some interviews with him. He's a mean guy. And he couldn't keep his name off that list. And he's one of the bigger people on the list. So
Right. And like you said, it's his personal vendetta against Trump, which is so fascinating because Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, they obviously are not fans, but they're not overtly. I mean, I guess you could say Bill Clinton on a political level has always been opposed to Trump, but at least on this sort of personal attack kind of thing, like the two Bills don't really engage in that sort of thing. But Reid Hoffman does, and so the fact that he's was one of those folks named by Elon there, it's going to be really fascinating. All right, well then let's get into this Epstein thing. So you want to set us up here? Who arrived at the White House?
So, gosh, was it only yesterday? That's so crazy.
Yes.
So Attorney General Pam Bondi had said that there would be a release of documents, and she called it a phase 1, starting yesterday. And I guess what we know now is that a group of quote unquote influencers, guys, if you don't know what that means, it just means like they have big social media presences, their personalities. This is like the new version of like a news host in a way. It turns out they were invited to the White House for a separate meeting. They were not allowed to bring their phones. But at the end of that meeting, they were given these phase 1 binders. And
let's show that.
Yeah.
Which I think is just a picture. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, can we click down into those, Alex? Yeah. So that's Liz Wheeler there at the White House. And this is, there's Cernovich in the back, and Cernovich explains this, Jack Posobiec right here. So what happened is they come out of the meeting and they hadn't even really had a chance to read through the binders yet, but they came out of I think they're in the East Wing or the West. I don't know what wing they're in. They come out and there's always photographers there. So what do the photographers do? They take a bunch of photos of them and they all pose with these binders, not actually knowing what's in them yet. So this is, we're calling this binder gate, because what happens is, first of all, a lot of people online get jealous. Number one, they get super jealous that these people are chosen for this reveal or this disclosure.
Yeah, it wasn't Jim Acosta and Caitlin Collins.
But I think that's a little confusing. I think that wasn't the point. I think they were there for a separate meeting, and they said, hey, do you guys want this phase 1 binder? But what people knew by the end of the day is that this binder really didn't have anything significant at all in it that had not already been released. And here you can see on the screen here on the left is what was in the binder, redacted, right? There's a bunch of black redacted sections. And then on the right, you have a document that already was on the internet, unredacted. So I think this was kind of like a PR flop for the White House, but not intended this way. I think they just really didn't calculate the appetite for people wanting to know where the red meat is in this issue.
I don't know, Josh. I mean, this is like the issue. It's like the thing that people, I mean, to hand out these binders with redacted information that's already public.
That's dumb. Yeah.
I mean,
it's dumb.
It goes back to the fact that, like, who got the binders?
Yeah.
Who told them, okay, put all these papers in here? Like, somebody has to actually do these things, and you don't do these things without some sort of intention. I'm not one to just kind of like blare out all the conspiracy theories that go off in my brain all the time.
Yeah.
But I think this was some sort of some sort of like, what do they call it? Like when you test leaking, or you finding a mole, or your
trial balloon is one.
Exactly. Yeah. Trial balloon, some sort of op in order to see who had what and where and on all this, because it just seems so bizarre to me that you would label these things phase 1 of a release of documents that are already public. I mean, they must have known that these things were public. I mean, I'll go in later and look at what the things were redacted in the folder. And,
okay. I get your argument. I guess I'm a little, my personal take is that I'm a little on the side of, okay, so we have this problem here. People on the internet now, citizen journalists, they know more than who's the team that put that binder together, right? They actually know more. So let's say that like Pam Bondi or whoever it is in her office they receive a PDF of documentation, right? And they're like, cool, quickly collate it, put it together, put it in binders. But that group of people, they may not be an expert on the case and know every document that's been released, right? And they're rushing. This is my take. I think they rushed to get it out, but no one in that staff knew that, like, oh, don't include that document because we don't need that page redacted. We have that's online. I think that's kind of a big ask for a reveal. This is what journalists are for. Right? Like real journalists, like that went through the Twitter files, right? Like guys like Matt Taibbi. And so in the rush to get it out, they released something like just really wasn't that valuable. And then we find out that there's more that is not being released by the Southern District FBI and Justice in New York.
Yeah. And that's where I think that this is leading towards. Like you set this thing up that says oh, this is garbage. And then they go,
Yeah.
it is? Oh, well, you know why? Because SDNY, right? So it's like, it's almost like this, again, this controlling every aspect of the narrative, like every element. There has not been one leak about this administration.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knew Dan Bongino was going to be named until he was named, right? Like,
Yeah.
nobody knew any of that. So that's the kind of thing that, like, they're being very meticulous on this, and so I'm going to err on the side of, like, we are headed for full disclosure here,
Dude.
and I think it's going to happen. So
I mean, Matt, Dan Bongino's like from New York.
Right.
He's gonna be screaming into the phone
yeah,
to the people there, and with Bondi, they will have indictment power.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So who didn't give us this paperwork? I mean, because dude, there's tapes, videotape, audio tape. There's all kinds of stuff
I mean,
that was
Josh,
discovered.
Remember when after he was arrested, maybe before he died,
Yeah.
the FBI, there was footage from folks in a boat down in the island watching the FBI rummage through the house and bringing out files. I mean, they have stuff. And I'm not saying I want to see, video or anything, but they have it all. They have it all. And either that was a cleanup job or that was a case building job. But at the end of the day, people wearing FBI jackets were the ones down there collecting stuff. I mean, we can go anywhere, right?
There's some real interesting. These are theories that are online. Okay, and then one of the theories is, this is uncomfortable for a lot of people, that Epstein was an agent being used by one or more intelligence agencies, and whether you like it or not, America uses pretty, I would call them immoral tactics when it comes to being spies. Spies kill people. They also use things called honey traps or honey pots.
Oh, yeah. Well, Comey's on record. He sent honey traps into
the Trump administration.
In 2015. Yeah.
So crazy. They probably all had blue hair, so it wasn't going to work. But okay. So what's this going to reveal? It may reveal agency involvement from ours and other nations.
Yep.
And, maybe even the rumor is Mossad. And I think that it's important to be adult about this kind of stuff, Matt. Like, the truth is that, we have allies. Israel, a lot of folks think Israel is one of our greatest allies, but Israel has an intelligence service that does a lot of crazy stuff in its own interest. That's, I think, a thing we gotta realize. There's this concept, right, in our own interest, as a nation state. Yep. And so there's speculation that the Mossad's running part of Epstein, and it could be true, but this is like the juicy stuff we want. No more redacted name lists and phone numbers.
I'm almost kind of over, like, who went to the island. I want to know, like, who got
the recording of that visit.
And how was it used? Like, how was all this information used? Because you're exactly right. This wasn't just like, I mean, maybe for some it was just like, let's go get our rocks off over at Epstein's Island.
Yeah.
But can I drop another name that we haven't even said yet in the last couple of weeks? P. Diddy.
Oh yeah.
Right. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same.
It's all it's all interwoven. One way to think about it, Matt, is like, it's just a sinful network. Okay, they take, and this is a weird thing too. Some people are not comfortable with this. Like, you don't learn, secrets about other nations without applying tactics that are pretty dark. Blackmail, sexual blackmail, financial blackmail, a leverage on people because of their sin is how you do it. And that's what spy agencies do. It's not pretty. And P. Diddy and like this sin network of like really gross people that did not think they would ever become accountable.
Yep.
Isn't there like a scripture about this, Matt? Like what you do in secret will be shouted from the rooftops.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, those horns are getting ready. People are climbing up to the top of the roofs. It's gonna happen, man. It's gonna happen. Well,
Yeah.
here is and we want to read this. This is General Mike Flynn.
Yeah.
He posted this. Should we just read through it?
Yeah, just go for it. It's long, everybody, but like try to listen to each part of this, because this is when Flynn talks, you're hearing an insightful voice from the inside.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Flynn is like, it's no joke where this guy's bona fides, you know? He says, I want to unpackage some misconceptions and offer some suggestions from my standpoint about the release of the Epstein files. People are getting confused, and for good reason. SDNY, which is the Southern District of New York, is the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York. I do stand by my earlier comments regarding SDNY. However, they are one among other offices that handled Epstein's files. Another is the FBI's New York office. Are they both hiding the documents? Guess where McCabe was, that's Andrew McCabe, before working in the FBI Washington, D.C. headquarters office? He was in the New York office. Other notable New York office agents, Bill Priestep, and many more of the cabal. They all need to be brought in for questioning. Guess who was in SDNY at one time or another? Comey, Bruce Orr, and many more corrupt people. These are all names that everybody should be aware of by now. I've personally visited the New York office in the past, and while there are good and decent people inside, over the years, the culture of the DOJ and the Bureau has turned into a rotting, decayed cadaver. Trust no longer exists inside, nor does it exist between these organizations and the American people. Also, all the Epstein files should be on a system called Sentinel. Sentinel houses all documents up to and including secret files. Top secret documents are on a separate system. There needs to be checks done there too. Additionally, there is something called 1A, quote, 1A envelopes. These are typically handled, not found in a computer system, meaning this is where they commonly hide stuff. So this is like the real world stuff, Josh. As I take a break here for a moment.
Yeah.
Like an actual hard copy of something.
Hard copies, yep.
So you might say there are always physical files for all investigations. True. And if there are physical files, these should still be eventually scanned into the system. If not, they are in 1A envelopes, like the notes we discovered from the deceitful and crooked FBI agents that interviewed me. Director Cash, AG Bondi need to also look deeper into the Miami USAO. They provided the original sweetheart deal to Epstein.
Yep.
And this office and the FBI's Miami field office should have files too. FBI Miami may have been directed to send everything to the New York office, though. This still must be checked. My assessment is that the USAO in Miami could be found to be very dirty on this Epstein files release issue. Keep in mind, they had jurisdiction over Epstein Island originally, and we should see all of the evidence collected from that search. There are former, now retired agents who worked in Miami on this case. They need to be brought back on to help Bondi and Cash. Neither of these two ever worked in the arena of the DOJ headquarters or the FBI headquarters. Both are bastions of progressives who are mostly anti-Trump, and some are anti-American. It's clear Epstein worked on behalf of elements of the U.S. government, and that there is seriously damning evidence that will likely expose political establishment figures, Hollywood, and other elite persons. Let's face it, the only way you get to Epstein Island was by a special invite and because you had something to offer. Bottom line, this needs to be rectified sooner than later, because the longer this lingers, the more time people have to destroy evidence. Set a tighter schedule, run it like a task force, ensure victims are not exposed, use retired or other trusted persons, whistleblowers for instance, to mentor this task force. Let's get it right. America and the world deserve the truth, and people who committed these acts against minors must be punished to the fullest extent of the law. And the last piece of advice, follow the money. There will be gaps. Doge, you geniuses may be able to assist too. Josh, I mean,
Flynn is.
wow.
I remember that Flynn was sold by the mainstream media in the past as like just kind of being a dummy, and it's just nothing farther from the truth, man. Like
Nothing.
He was so smart. He's still at this moment helping the American people navigate all this deceit. And I don't want to gloss over what you just said there, because that is key. He is helping the American people. Like all this stuff here was for you and me to consume. You don't think he was on the phone talking to somebody about this already? You know? Oh, yeah,
hey,
right.
1A envelopes. Hey, Cash, 1A envelopes. Buddy.
Yeah. Let me tell you how it works.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Matt, I continue to be amazed at how absolutely dark and powerful this Epstein stuff is. Like, I've just never seen anything like this. You know what I mean? Like, don't forget that Bill Barr may be involved. I mean, that was a shocker. How Bill Barr comes into this. This is going to come up later. So like this reaches into all these areas of power where people that you would otherwise think like, oh, I mean, Comey, I think he's a careerist, but they were essentially said, you need to back off from this, and by someone so powerful that they went, I will do so, sir.
Yeah.
And so that seems still, Reid Hoffman's not getting me there. Nor is Bill Gates. There's still something to find that's really big, and big enough that someone can reach down and make sure he gets killed in the middle of a prison. Granted, it was where? In New York, where corruption lives. So, and like the cameras conveniently go off, all of these things. So, and at this moment with Trump in power, and we're still trying to get to the answer. I'll just be shocked if it's not something just that we go, oh, of course.
Yeah. And look, it doesn't, and for my like, it doesn't have to be somebody that I know and loathe, you know, that's on these lists and things. It could be as simple as just saying like, oh, look at all these, you know, mid-court district judges who took trips, right? Look at all of the people that may have made decisions over the years, these bureaucrats and people that have denied you your rights or went after you or whatever the case is that came about. You know, it could be a whole plethora of people that you never thought had a huge effect on your life, but they did. They sold you out. They sold you out for their own riches, for their own preservation, because they're sickos, you know. So I think get her done, Cash, and Dan Bongino. Are you kidding me? Like, I still can't believe that guy. I mean,
okay, I have another way of thinking about this. Okay, one thing we need to like kind of examine is one thing that Epstein or whoever he was working for was so good at distributing the corruption. You mentioned the judges. They were so good at distributing the corruption that till this day, it covers them. Like it still can't be revealed because they were so expert at the powerful manipulators being placed to not want to be revealed.
Right.
And that is incredible.
Does it make you wonder too why and how Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison?
Okay, you bring up a really good point, because I don't know if you remember, but remember when they couldn't find her and she was at her husband's house, and the husband, he's a shady, weird intel guy. No one could figure out who he was, and he's married to her, protecting her, right? Super weird. And you know, and then she's spirited away to the federal penitentiary. Just, I mean, it's so mysterious, and that makes me think of state level cover. Okay, like nation level cover, and maybe more than one. And I think Calcom or who made the comment about Mossad and the UK. So like now, thanks to the Ukraine, craziness, we know that when we don't want to get ourselves dirty, we shove MI6 and the UK folks to go do our dirty work.
Yeah.
And we work with Mossad as well.
Oh yeah, the Five Eyes and all of that.
Five
stuff.
Eyes, yeah.
Yep.
So this is a state level thing. It can only be because the minute we want to know where someone is, it happens, right? and everyone like couldn't figure out how Ghislaine Maxwell had a husband. Nobody knows what that guy does to this day, Matt. Like, I guess it's Jason Bourne she was married to or something. So.
Woo, yeah. Well, I mean, I like, and it's only Friday. It's only the last
Friday
day of February. We wrapped up the second month of the year. Trump's been in office for 38 days.
Who's counting, Matt?
I count every
exactly 38. That's great.
I count every 38 days. And quite a day it was. All right, Josh. How are we going out today? We didn't do the
Oh yeah, you want to go for that, please, sir?
WND News Center. Yeah, folks. If you're enjoying the program, if you're enjoying all of this content that you see over at WorldNetDaily, then please offer up a contribution. It could be a one-time contribution, it could be an ongoing contribution. It really helps keep WorldNetDaily on the air. This show on the air. It keeps Elizabeth Farah's show on the air. It keeps all of the great folks working over there at WorldNetDaily moving forward with bringing you breaking news, getting the truth out there, and not letting the spin just destroy our lives. So please head over to the WND News Center by scanning that QR code or following in the link in the description, and you'll really help out the show. And it's 501c3, so it's a nonprofit, so you get yourself your tax-deductible donation. So thank you so much for doing that. All right, Josh.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, guys, we will be back Wednesday of next week, so please put it on your calendar. I mean, can you imagine how much we're going to have to cover on the Wednesday show? It's going to be a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be.
And Crystal, Calcom, everybody, thank you for watching. And guys, we always love your comments.
Yeah.
We'll see you Wednesday.
See you Wednesday. God bless.